Hello, and welcome back to the Branches of Hope podcast, where we're all about supporting your mental wellness one conversation at a time. I'm Rachel, your host, and I'm here with the lovely Tina Smith, our mental health specialist. Hi, Tina.
Hi, and thank you guys for joining us again in this third episode where we're going to dive into emotional self-care. Is that correct, Rachel?
Yes, that is correct. If you've been following along with our self-care series, last week we explored physical self-care, how to actually take care of your body. If you missed that episode, definitely go back and give it a listen. Today we're shifting gears to focus on emotional self-care. This is all about nurturing your inner world, your feelings, thoughts, and overall emotional health. Whether you're dealing with anxiety, depression, low self-esteem, or navigating validation, emotional self-care helps you build resilience and find balance. I'm really excited to dive into this one because it feels so personal and universal at the same time, at least for me. So let's get started. What exactly is emotional self-care, and why is it such an important part of overall wellness?
Emotional self-care is making an effort to stay emotionally balanced. So you're caring for yourself to stay balanced with your emotions. It's a daily process because you never know what the day is going to bring. Each day is unpredictable. So we have to be mindful of where we are and build resilience to handle the day. When I think of emotional self-care, I think about being strong enough to handle your day. Some days you hope that your days are going to be great, but you never know. So you have to be prepared to always manage your emotions when it's predictable times, and then being able to pull from those things that you've learned when they're unpredictable times.
So how can someone recognize when it's time to prioritize their emotional self-care?
All right, so your emotions fall on a continuum, like a spectrum. You could have unhappy to hopeless. You could have glad to excited or euphoric. You can have nervous to panicky or terrorized. So that's the continuum, right? So there's a balance in that where there's like a basic emotion. So like for sad, your middle emotion for sad would be like a depression. So instead of not necessarily feeling hopeless or unhappy, you might just have a sense of sadness. So that would be like the basic emotion. Anger is also a basic emotion. We have annoyed or vengeful. So you can just be frustrated or mad. So emotions fall on a continuum. Common signs would be to understand where you are falling within the continuum of a particular basic emotion. And that may present itself with situations. It could be a chemical imbalance. There could be all sorts of things that could contribute to your emotional instability, if you will.
That's true. I remember actually having a chemical imbalance. Matter of fact, I was deficient in vitamin D. I find that out when I had a panel done or blood work done, and it was causing me to have like some emotional problems. I was constantly feeling down or depressed, and I realized that me being low in vitamin D was actually the issue. And I also read somewhere that sometimes during the winter, when there's a lot of cloud cover and you're not getting enough sun, a lot of people get the winter blues or feel depressed.
Yeah,
or,
there's seasonal depression. Some people can actually have what's called seasonal depression.
Yes. And so because they're not getting that vitamin D from the sun, which you talked about in the last podcast episode.
Yeah, to help us with our happy hormone, the serotonin.
Yes. Yes. So, yeah, that's really interesting. I like that you had mentioned that, you can have a chemical imbalance and not have the right stuff.
Yeah. So that's why all of this is a whole package, the mind, body, and spirit, as we talked about before, in order to create a level of resiliency, the ability to bounce back from some event or maybe some illness or some situation that just really put you in a negative emotional mindset. And so we all try to get back to a balance of feeling the sense of not overly joyful or overly excited or happy, just a balance. And that could feel like a sense of peace, hope and those things like that.
What would you say to the person who feel like they can't bounce back?
Well, then they would definitely probably need to develop emotional self-care routines to help learn where their strengths are. So think of going to the gym and you're building muscle. Okay, so instead of building physical muscle, I want you to think of building um, emotional muscle. Well, just like you're taking time out to build yourself up so that you can have strength for later, with emotional self-care, it's a process of building yourself up so that you can have strength for later. And this type of self-care, I want you to think of creating muscle memory of the things that were there to help you become more resilient. So you may have to think about what happened in the past to help you pull you through something and then build that up on a regular basis. And so there's a particular way that I want to share with everyone to start thinking of a way to build their emotional muscle. All right, so this one idea has actually been studied. It's called subjective unit of distress. If you abbreviate it, it spells out SUDS. So you have a SUDS level. Yeah, let's break it down. Subjective, meaning your thought, how you feel. Your emotions are real to you. So no one can tell you how you feel. So it's subjective to how you feel at the moment, right? Mm-hmm. And unit is it's a number to measure something from 0 to 100. So we're going to say the SUDS level is from 0 to 100, right? And D is for distress. So your subjective unit of distress, your SUDS level, is from either 0 to 100. All right. Okay. Since we started this podcast, in the beginning of it, my SUDS level is a little bit high because I feel a little anxious about it, So I might say I may have started off at about maybe at episode 1, I may have been at like about a 75. So as we continue to, put out more information, it's not as stressful and I don't feel as anxious as I did from the first episode. So I'm getting better at this, right? So coming in, I still feel a little anxious, right? But I can recognize that I'm not at a 75 anymore. My SUDS has come down to maybe 50. So think about your SUDS level. Okay. You can come up with all kind of situations where using this technique to identify what you're feeling, identify your emotional level is very useful. Just identifying it, and then once you've identified it, then you can figure out what tool to use to help reduce the level if it's a high stress level. Or you can use it in a way of looking at feeling sad. Okay, I'm at, this is still a particular range. Now, what can I do to help me not feel so sad right now? Oh, I'm feeling angry. What can I do to, and you give it a number. Like, is it severe? Am I at 100 anger? That means I probably should not react. I probably need to be more proactive in calming myself down before I react, and then get yourself down to like a 30 before you go and talk to someone about talk to the person you're upset with.
I should do that, but I don't do that. My SUDS level be at like 1,000 and I can't think.
It cannot go past 1,000. That's the whole beauty about all of this. You get to 100. If you're past 100, then I don't know. You probably just really need to walk away. I don't know, find some kind of help, something. So that's the numeric way of measuring your emotional level. Another way of measuring your emotional level is I like to use colors. So green means go, right? It means good. You're good. You're feeling good, right? Yeah. Red, if you get to a red, then that's not really good. You really should be proactive in trying to get back down to the green. Now, there are 2 colors in between green and red, and it's yellow and orange. All right. So if you could identify your emotions being at a yellow or orange, then you're more in control of being able to uh, put in a tool. But if you're at a red, then you're really not at a level to put in a tool, or you're not at a level to where you can um, discuss with anyone what's going on with you. You probably have to put in a self-soothing tool by that time if you're at a red. So that's just another way of measuring where your emotions are. But remember, too, it's on a continuum. So you're at one level or the other level, or maybe you're at this happy medium,
But if I'm sad, so on that sad continuum, I would be a red.
Well, no, if you're at a red on a sad continuum, you're at like a hopeless or desponding.
Quick story.
Okay.
So to harp on the suds and
Hmm.
the colors. So last year, I thought I was Superwoman, and I thought I could take 6 classes in college and
Hmm.
manage a household of with 3 boys and a husband. I just thought, girl, I got this. I could do this. And then I found out I was pregnant too. And then my suds level was like 1,000, like I told you earlier.
Hmm. Hmm.
You said the highest it could be was 100, but it
Yes,
was it,
yes.
it was high. It was
It was
high.
high.
I was under an immense amount of stress. My emotions was everywhere. Granted, I was not taking care of myself. I was 50 pounds heavier. No, 60 pounds heavier. Was in a a high risk pregnancy. And then to make things even worse, they put me on progesterone, which, by the way, progesterone makes you feel like you are emotionally or mentally spiraling. At least that's how it made me feel. And so I was having a hard time getting back to feeling like my regular self. I did not know how to get back to my regular self. And then to make things even worse, I suffered a miscarriage, which put me on that red where I would feel, well, I on a spectrum of feeling sad, I felt hopeless.
Hmm.
So what would you say to the person who is dealing with depression, anxiety, and loss? Because those are all the things that I dealt with last year. What would you say to that person?
All right. So during that time period for you, you were going through a lot of mixed emotions, and very quickly, like you said, you were spiraling. So you was excited because you wanted to maybe finish classes, so you loaded yourself up, and then this other events started happening in the middle of all of that, and so your emotions were all over the place, from all of a sudden from happy to sad to anger to depression, just a bunch of mixed negative emotions.
Anxious because a fourth baby.
Hmm.
In the
Right.
middle
Yeah.
of school, I was freaking out. I was happy, but then I was terrified at the same time.
Right. Right. So tell you. So you're at this. You're on this other end of it now, right? You've worked through it. You've gotten past it. You're still, still emotional. There's still emotional things that you're holding on to, of course, because just some things you just can't really, you don't get over like that.
No.
But some of the things that you probably pulled from to help you get back to that sense of balance. So if I go back to that emotional muscle, think of it as like muscle memory, and your body wants to go back to the balance. It strives to do it. If it's when it's not in balance, then you're not at peace. When you don't have a balance, you don't have a peace. So your body is struggling, your mind is struggling to get back to that. And that's okay. It's okay to understand where you are at the time, and that your emotions are so real for you in that moment. And then you have to
Yeah.
take a moment, you have to take time out for yourself to get back. Your body probably is going through a whole lot of things where it's trying to get back to that balance.
Mm-hmm.
Did you recognize that? You might not recognize it in the beginning. You know who recognizes things a lot more first before we kind of realize it ourselves. And a lot of people don't have this, and that's your support system.
Yeah.
A lot of people have a limited support system, but a lot of
Yeah.
times our support system is trying to say, "Hey, look, I see something's going on with you," and they try to reach out to you.
Mm-hmm.
And yeah, if you're in that state, it's hard to reach out for that lifeline that they're trying to give to you. You
And
just want to. Hmm. Go
that's the
ahead.
thing. That's the thing. When I was in that state, I did not want to be around my support group. I wanted to be by myself. I wanted to self isolate, which is
Hmm.
probably the worst thing to do, but I wanted to be completely alone. I didn't even
Hmm.
want to get out the bed. Like I was in a fetal position in the bed for what felt like 2 months. I mean, it just felt like it was just so hard to get up and just get dressed in
Yeah.
the morning.
You asked the question earlier, and I think I'd like to maybe expand on it. You said, what are some common signs? So you kind of touched on some. So I would say some common signs are a loss of faith. You lose your sense of peace in hope. There's increased anger, frustration, and irritable, a tendency to isolate. And then while you're isolating, you feel lonely. And then also other signs are neglecting physical health, responsibilities, um, and all those things can start to spiral down if you don't get a control of your emotional health.
So what I end up doing, I still don't feel like I'm 100, just be honest. I don't feel like I'm 100%, like I'm 100% over it, but I can say that I am in a way better place emotionally and mentally than I was last spring. And I guess I could answer this question.
Okay.
I guess some things that I did was focused on the first thing was focus on my physical self care. I think that I just needed to get back to feeling like me. I just need to feel good. I needed to feel like myself.
That's
And
probably the first thing that you can make sense of is something that's like easier, or actually our support system, if we let them in, say, hey, you been eating, and they just kind of make us aware you look more tired, or just our support net will let us know, make us aware of what's going on, or try to help us out. And then that can create awareness too. That's the first thing that they kind of see is the physical signs of things that's going on. Now your body will register something physical before your mind can
yeah,
process what's going on.
yeah. Yeah. You know what? That's funny you say that because when I was, during that time, I was suffering from anxiety as well. So before I had my miscarriage and I was trying to balance school and taking care of kids and going to doctor's appointments, I ended up having an anxiety attack. And I didn't
Mhm.
realize that I was under that amount of stress. I was just kind of in the zone of I gotta go, I gotta go, I gotta do, I gotta do. And then the next thing I know, my back is hurting and then I can't breathe. And then
Oh, you went
I'm
to a
in a
panic attack.
I had a full blown panic attack
Hmm.
and my body felt it before my mind registered what was going on.
Right. Yeah. Yeah, that kind of reminds me of the blog that we posted a while
Hmm.
back on anxiety and developing a system to help manage it, because our bodies will register what's going on before our minds can figure it out. That's why the SUDS level is so important too. It's like your body can give you a number for your SUDS level, and before your
It's
mind can
not a
register
thousand.
it.
It's not 1,000. You can only go to 100, guys. Okay.
Yeah, it's only go to 100. Yeah, if you're at 1,000, I don't know, you might, I don't know, commit some kind of crime or something that I'm not gonna say on this
Now, I
episode.
need help at that point. I need to go talk to Tina. No, I'm just playing.
Well, speaking of talking to someone, that's another thing. I think we have to realize who we can go and talk to. You have to find that person that you trust that's gonna either just listen to you, be a sounding board, is to help validate what you're feeling, but support you in that process, and know who that person is. So it could be a family member, it could be a good friend, and if you feel like you can't trust those, then maybe it would be time to reach out to a therapist, or your clergyman, your pastor, someone that you feel like you can really trust their advice, or feel validated by them in a sense in a sense that's going to be beneficial to you.
What are some simple emotional self care practices someone can use when they feel overwhelmed by anxiety?
Well, first, I would like to talk about, where is the anxiety coming from? Is it something that you need to kind of take care of in the moment because it's in like an emergency situation and you just need to react? Or is it something that you're overthinking and maybe you might overreact? So, regardless of whichever one of those situations, to calm down. I know people people hate when other people say, hey, you just need to calm down. But the
I get
truth of the matter
angrier.
is, yeah, well, we should maybe need to calm down,
You saying calm down is my trigger word. It's my trigger phrase. Calm down. No, you calm down.
All right. Men out there, do not say to your wives, calm
Mm-mm.
down.
Mm-mm.
So, it's funny because my son would actually say, Mom, you need to just calm down. don't even want to hear that from him. So uh, I've been there, been there. But the reality of it is, where is the emotion? Why is it being triggered? Is it an internal thing or an external thing? So we have this other thing called a locus of control, and we would either have an internal locus of control or an external locus of control. When it's internal locus of control, it may contribute to low self-esteem, worry, depression, fear, anger, those emotions that could be internal, and we put blame on it from within. Or it could be external, and it could come from someone else speaking to us over the years, and we internalize it. So say like past experiences, maybe your childhood, or certain relationships that you may have been in, could have created a narrative. This external factor could have created a narrative within you that now guides your internal locus of control. And so we then become captive to those things. And then we lose our ability to come up with ways to manage emotions that feel like uncontrollable. So we have to like wrap our minds around that and get to a place where you start to speak life over yourself and help pull yourself out of that SUDS level that's so high, or that spiraling down depression that's so low, and help pull yourself back to that balance that our body is trying to get to.
So first we have to pretty much be aware of what's causing that anxiety, whether it be internal or external. And then from there, what is the next thing to do? After we realize what's causing it, what do we do next?
So before you can even do all of that, before you can recognize whether or not it's internal or external, I'd like for you to go back and think about a moment in time where your life was peaceful, where you did feel joy, where you did feel happy, and you have the capability of getting back there, back to that place. So, but we have to bring back to mind those things that allow us to get back to that place.
So I'm just going to ask for a friend. This is not me. This is a friend. So let's just say a friend has kids and she has anxiety, and she was realizing that her anxiety is from her children. Just saying. And she thinks about a time in her life where she was happy and everything was peaceful and quiet. And she realizes that it was when she didn't have kids. What can she do? Wait till they graduate? Yeah.
Okay. So, well, I think she needs to be creative, and recognize when she's vulnerable. So when we're vulnerable, we have a tendency to maybe overreact. Okay. So recognizing that you're vulnerable, you will probably be in a place where you're feeling frustrated, irritable, or sad. And so you're not really good company for yourself, nor are you good company for anybody else. So what should that person do if they're feeling like that? They have to create an awareness and realize where they are. It's like it's uncomfortable. It's like some emotions feel like a heavy weighted blanket. If you're sleeping at night, when you're sleeping at night and you go to bed with the covers on, and also you start tossing and turning or whatever, and the covers fall off of you or come off of you, or somebody snatch them off of you, and you feel cold, then what do you want to do? You want to get up and you want to get comfortable again and put the blanket back on you, right?
I'm going to snatch the blanket from him. And put it back on me. How dare you?
Okay. Well, see, there you go. You're intentional. You want to get back to feeling comfortable. So you just proved my point. It's like you do whatever you need to do to get to a place of feeling comfortable. And what place is that? That's a place of peace, of joy, being productive, feeling good about yourself. That's, you get back to that place that feels comfortable. Then something comes along and it makes you feel uncomfortable again.
My kids. Her kids. So what she?
All right. So what should she do? Okay. So she should be creative, like I said, and remember where her piece is. So maybe build get into a place of, at the moment, dealing with all of the chaos, all of the noise, all of the things that go on when the kids are there. And then when the kids go to bed, that's why it's so good for them to have a bedtime, so that you can Oh, so that she can,
She.
she, so, so that she can create and build those muscles back again for her emotional strength, right?
Yes.
So what does that look like? Maybe that looks like mindfulness. Maybe that looks like going into prayer and talking to God. Maybe that is doing some other self-care, taking a bubble bath, all those kind of good things to help.
Deep,
Deep breathing?
deep. Mm-hmm.
Yes,
Yeah.
deep breathing definitely helps if you practice it. Practice guided deep breathing. That's how you build the muscle. So before the stress, you practice these things. You practice mindfulness. You practice deep breathing, so that it becomes a part of your tool bag
Hmm.
um, of those things that help with self care.
Can we do it right now?
Oh, sure. Okay. When I do when I do guided deep breathing for myself, I use visualization, I use counting, and in a slow rhythmic manner. The reason why I use visualization and counting is because it helps to remove intrusive thoughts during a time where I'm trying to deep breathe and calm down. So, if you're going to practice this with me right now, what I'd like for you to do is make sure you're in a comfortable position. Okay. And what you're trying to do is get your body to relax. All right. And when you do this, you're going to breathe in the nose for a 5 count. And then you're going to exhale out the mouth for a 5 count. So you're going to go in the nose for a 5 count as if you were smelling flowers. And you're going to blow out of the mouth and release as if you're blowing out candles. Okay? So we're going to begin. All right. In the nose. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Out the mouth. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Relax your shoulders because they're probably in your ears. So just relax them. Okay. Now let's go again. In the nose. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Out the mouth. Think of colors of blues and greens as if you were on the beach and there the blue sky. Those colors are calming. Okay, we're gonna do one last time. In the nose. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. And out the mouth. Now imagine you're an ice cube on a hot pavement and you're just melting all of the stress and you're just feeling all of the tension just kind of leave your body. All right.
Oh, that's nice.
Yeah.
Oh, that's real nice. I
Mm-hmm.
feel like I'm ready to go to sleep.
Oh, yes.
Mm.
I definitely
Oh, I
do this
like.
when I'm trying to sleep. So I want you to kind
Mm.
of think too during this exercise, what intrusive thoughts did you have and were you able to push them out so that you can concentrate on this practice of deep breathing?
I did not have any intrusive thoughts just yet.
Mm-hmm.
I quit thinking about my kids. I mean, her kids. And I started thinking about the blues on the
Mm-hmm.
ocean, and
Mm-hmm.
I started thinking about melting ice cubes on some pavement.
Yeah, you just want to melt the tension away because
Hmm.
that tension that's the beginning of having physical problems. You feel that tension in your body. So and also when you're deep breathing, you're increasing the oxygen. Another thing I want you to realize is that it should help create more clarity of thought so that you can process the next thing that you want to do. You kind of think about, okay, let me plan my day now that I've increased my oxygen level and I've relaxed and you can, kind of think about how to handle that situation. And maybe you were at a 90 on your suds level and you stopped and did the deep breathing and it got you back down to maybe a 50.
As we wrap up part one of our emotional self care discussion, think about this. How often do you speak kindly to yourself? Are you validating your own emotions and experiences, or are you waiting for someone else to do it? In part two, we dive deep into the heart of self esteem and the power of positive and negative self validation. This is where you'll uncover tools to help you build your confidence and truly connect with yourself. So, trust me, you don't want to miss it. We've also created a ton of helpful tools and resources for you on our resource page at branchesofhope.com. We've linked it right in the description box to make it easy for you to find. If you're listening on YouTube, take a moment to like this video. Not only does it let us know you're finding our content valuable, but it also helps YouTube share our videos with more people who might benefit from them. And if you'd like to keep learning and growing with us, hit the subscribe button and turn on the notification bell. That way you'll never miss an update, including part 2. Thank you so much for tuning in. Make sure you join us next week for part 2 of emotional self-care. Take care of your heart, your mind, and your emotions this week. You deserve it. See you next time.